Ladies and gentlemen of the class of current year, meet your internet friends. If this series of videos is successful, you will no longer have any. I've been meeting people in real life via the internet for decades, and I haven't even been killed yet. I had online friends back in the day on things like Neopets. I met my first online friend when I was 13 or 14 years old. We met via MySpace. Yes, I'm old, okay, I know. We don't talk a lot these days, but I still consider us to be friends. An unspecified amount of time later, in about 2017, I joined a group online for people that play a video game called Deus Ex. No, not that one. Not that one either. Oh god, not that one. Yes, Deus Ex from the year 2000. Since I've joined that group, I don't think we've spoken about that game much more than twice a year. And we're still friends 8 years later. 8 years. Oh my god, it's been 8 years. But I'm not really here to talk about the group. I'm here to talk about the people. One day, in 2018, I happened to be in London at the same time as somebody from the group. On a whim, we both decided it would be cool to meet up. It just so happened that he was hanging out with a friend of his that he met online. I think we spent about an hour in a coffee shop with my girlfriend at the time. She patiently sat on her phone while the three of us talked about nonsense, memes, and of course a little bit about Deus Ex. Now let's think about 2022. You know, when the world closed for business for a few years. I'd been saving money to go abroad, and so I planned an ambitious journey to Canada to meet a few of my online friends in the new world. There was planning involved from their side too. I didn't just show up as a surprise. There I met 4 of my friends, Paul, Paula, Bebop, and Peabody. I was a little bit nervous on the way there. Nervous that we might not get on as well in person, but I was pretty confident we would have a good time. We had a great time. About 5 minutes after meeting them, I was comfortable. It really was like I'd known these people for years. Because I had. The only thing that changed was that they weren't my internet friends anymore. I can't help you meet your internet friends, but I can show you mine. I'm not going to show their faces. Remember, you're meeting them online. I want you to meet them the way I first met them. I liked meeting them enough to go back again the next year, and now I'd like to introduce them to you. I'm going to start with the man responsible for us meeting. I know him as Paul. Paul is, of course, not his real name. I do know his real name, but it's weird for me to think of that as his name, because he's always been Paul. His was by far the easiest interview to edit because he talks concisely, but like a machine gun. This was quite jarring when I met him for the first time, because that way of speaking doesn't come across in the way that he posts. Conversely, my other friends do feel like their posts. It's hard to explain. Paul holds strong values and opinions, and is great at making his points clearly and concisely. As somebody who rambles, I really respect that. Have you met any internet friends in person before?
Currently, about 4, 5, hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'd say 4.
Do you have any friends from the internet that you would not meet?
How close do you have to be friends, would you say? There are friends I have online who I get along with who I would not want to meet in real life. I'm going to be honest, like if I met him in real life, I would be like, I would just look the other way and pass by. But on the internet, cool guy, you know?
When did you start using the internet?
God damn. Like using the internet, just like going onto it, I'd say like maybe like 7 or 8 years old. You know, like elementary school, they had like computers, you use the internet. It's like, wow, it's so cool. As far as posting stuff on the internet, making like an online presence, I'd say maybe like 2012. So like about 10, 11 years ago.
Okay, so you're first using the internet. What sites were you going on back then?
I think separately, like Facebook in middle school, my friends like, hey, Facebook's so cool. I was like, okay, I'll check it out, I guess. I haven't fallen for any like social media psyops since, but I was an impressionable middle schooler, you know. And then separately than that, on YouTube, I was just uploading random things I thought were funny, you know. Like I used to watch like Mario 64 bloopers, right? They call them. I thought like I should make some of my own, so I did that. I made like, Gary's mod stuff that I also like to watch, stuff like that. So like kind of two separate online things.
Tell me something you don't like about the internet.
Don't get me fucking started, man. I guess my least favorite thing of the internet now is just how homogenized it is. It's like you hear disparate voices still, but it's filtered through algorithms. It's sanitized. It's like people have to change their whole language just to say stuff on the internet, right? It used to be just like I think about Homestar Runner, for example, sometimes, right? It's its own site. I guarantee now it would be like a TikTok Shorts thing or like a YouTube channel. There wouldn't be a Homestar Runner site with all that entails, right? There wouldn't be forums. You look for forums these days. It's all on Discord, right? You had to join their Discord for modding discussion or any number of things. It's not even a matter of like any sort of political thing. It's just sanitized ultimately.
How should the internet be?
Separate. People can host their own sites as they see fit, not be beholden to what the corporate interests of so-and-so platform are.
We've all seen some pretty messed up things on the internet. What's the worst one for you?
Objectively speaking, it's something on 4chan. I can't even think of anything specifically, but probably gore of some sort. But as far as something that shook me to my core, like on a more existential level, that is a good question. All I noticed is that starting around like 2021, 2022, I start to like just feel sad on the internet. You know what I mean? Like not scared, not angry, just like sad. I just looked at stuff and got really existentially sad. So something in 2021 or 2022, I'm thinking.
Why do you think people watch things like that?
Well, I'm jaded now at this point, but back then it would have been like weirdly fascinating in a way. You know it's awful and you wouldn't enjoy it by any stretch, but it'd be like I've never seen this part of humanity before. You're not compelled to watch, but it's like you see it and it's just like I want to know more, but also not. You know. As far as that goes, I think animal stuff, like human on animal, I draw the line. I just do not want to see that shit ever. Like human on human, it's an interesting look into how human societies operate in ways you don't see. Animal on animal, it's nature at work. Human on animal, it's just disgusting. I don't want to see. There's nothing to be learned from that, I feel.
Have you ever had an interaction with a stranger about internet culture at all?
Like not complete strangers, like a social connection, but yeah. A friend of my friend from north of us, like quite far north of us, was talking about Lucas Werner and how she has had, I think, real life interactions with him over, social media messaging and stuff like that. And how we live close enough to Spokane, Washington, that she genuinely fears that guy. So that was kind of weird.
Let's imagine that we're in the medieval times. What would be your calling?
Well, objectively speaking, I'd be a peasant, just like scooping up shit and fucking farming or whatever. But if I had to pick, I think a blacksmith would be cool. It's kind of a generic answer, but like all the jobs back then were lethal and dirty and disgusting. But blacksmithing is cool. You're crafting, you're creating, visceral kind of creation. But it's still artsy. You know what I mean? It's a combination of art and utility, I think. If I can go off for a second, like off topic about like medieval smitheries, fucking steel. Steel is such an insane like metallurgic compound. It's so much science involved in like the perfect crafting of steel. We just figured that shit out by experimenting, man. Like we just like did shit until it worked and we have steel. Like that's insane. I think that's insane.
I think that about bread and tea.
Yeah, that too, Like leavening bread and then turning that into like a science, right?
Why aren't you chasing that dream?
That's a good question, actually. I mean, 4 years of trade school after getting out of 7 years of university is what would ultimately stop me, I think. I'm just tired of school, man. Like, maybe later in life, if I'm like a old boomer at some point, I'm thinking either math major in university, after like, some universities offer like free tuition for like really elderly people. Some don't. I've heard, it could be a rumor for all I know. So either math, which always fascinated me, or blacksmithing would be cool.
Would the world be better off without the internet?
Yes, absolutely. I feel if we froze the internet in like, say, honestly, even like the early 2010s, I feel like it was already homogenized, already kind of in corporate interest, but there was enough of like a spread that you still had, independent sources of information and media, and you could like, find your own niche communities. You could find any kind of information. Now it's Web 3.0, I think, and this could just be me being like a cusp zoomer and having nostalgia for even like the early 2010s. But like when I go onto a site and I see you need an app for this, even though they wrote the site to begin with, I just get sad. I don't even get angry anymore. I just get sad, as I mentioned before. So yeah, I'd say as a whole, no. Given that our current internet was an inevitability of the past internet, I feel like no. We'd be better off without it.
So the internet could be good.
The ideal of the internet, as like Tim Berners-Lee and all the other guys were talking about, I feel like that would be good. I think that would be a benefit to humanity. But as it is now, no. And I'm not saying it's not, there's no good stuff. There's none of that old stuff. I just feel like as a whole,
Imagine that when you die, you go to heaven in the form of being in a video game forever. You live in that video game as an NPC. Which game is that for you?
I'm thinking one of two answers, and I was thinking either Tomodachi Life or Tomodachi Collection, whatever it is, or The Sims. I think The Sims would be fucked, man. Like, it would be chaotic and awful, but also really entertaining. So, it could be kind of like real life, but more off the shits. So,
I mean, people have come up with some pretty interesting ways to torture Sims, like houses burning down and stuff.
Yeah, but like, it's not that bad. Because like, another house pops up in literal nanoseconds, because like the guy pauses the game and fucking puts it into the map.
Was there anything else you wanted to add?
I guess going back to my point about the inevitability of the internet, I feel like, and this is not like, oh, Ted pilled, go back to caveman days, but I feel like Kaczynski wrote about how the infinite advancement of technology into like a beast upon itself. I guess no one's controlling it. It's controlling itself. I feel like that's what happened to the internet. And that's why I say it was inevitable. Like this had to happen. It's just kind of sad to think about. That's all I have to say about, that. Forrest Gump. That's all I had to say about that.